Welcome back, everyone. How's it going out there? 3D Painter back with another video. This time, The Turtle Fairy by CA3D Studios. Sculpted by CA3D Studios. Started off with a zenithal highlight on the turtle, on his shell and his body, and just followed that up with some warm earth tones to kind of start mapping out how I wanted this all to work out. Felt to me like he was something of the earth, so I decided to go with Death World Forest. It's kind of an olive green by Citadel Paints. It's not too dark, not too light. It gives you a lot of wiggle room to add some contrast paints and highlights later, which you'll see here in a bit. Really want to thank you guys for being here and subscribing to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm trying to turn out new content as often as possible, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Big shout out and thanks to all my new subscribers. Really appreciate you guys joining me here. It's been a heck of a journey. So now I'm kind of just putting the fairy on there to see where I want the shadows to fall on the tortoise's back. So now I'm gonna hit it with some Tan Green by Citadel to add some contrast to the foliage there. So you can see here, it adds some nice shadows and gets into those little cracks and crevices of the moss and leaves the high points down. I'm gonna use some dry brushing here in a second to start lifting up the highlights of the grasses and stuff. You can see me doing that here. You can see that paint there. It's an air paint by Citadel. I forget the name of it off the bat, but it's almost a neon green. It's hard to describe. Right here I'm using Garagak's Sewer to darken up the back of the turtle's shell. I tried doing it with a brush at first, but that was going to take forever, so let's get the airbrush out and do that. Well, that's what I'm doing here. And now we're going to follow it up with some Nuln Oil. This is a contrast paint, or a shade I should say. It really gets into those cracks and crevices and adds a lot of depth and shadow to the areas you need it in. If you've never tried using it before, I highly recommend it. This stuff is absolutely magic. And here I'm just using a little bit of basic red to touch up some of those plants. Now I'm adding some tufts of grass, also made by Citadel. Give the shell some more life and character. Off camera, I painted the mushrooms with Deck Tan and used a Q-tip with that same red to put the spots on the mushrooms. Now I'm just airbrushing the turtle with it's a cheap airbrush paint I found on Amazon for about $33 for a 22 bottle set or something like that. It's really good stuff though. Right out of the bottle, it sprays almost perfectly. Using a 0.2mm nozzle on my Harder and Steenbeck Evolution CR Plus, and back with some Tan Green to add a little more contrast to the reptilian skin that we're going for here. I wanted him to look real, not cartoonish. I wanted him to look like a real reptile, but to also have some character and attitude. And that paint really helped bring that out. I'm just kind of using that to concentrate on the shadows and stuff. You can see I'm using it around his mouth and getting it into the scales and some of the folds and wrinkles of his skin. Really adds some nice depth. It's a good color. Concentrating mostly on the underside of his body here with it. Getting into the wrinkles here on his neck. It seeps into the cracks and crevices and leaves the highlights high. Don't know how else to put it right now. Kind of winging this voiceover as we go along. I'm gonna use my desk lamp to kind of give me a guide to do some dry brushing on the highlights here of the skin. You can see I'm concentrating on all the parts the light's shining on. And that's gonna add some more volume to the skin. You can see how that works there. I think my cat's upset with me. He wants to come in the office right now. So back with some peel tan green on the foliage. Adds a little bit of shadow and contrast to the skin of the turtle. Bear with me here. I'm going to let my cat in. Cat. Come on, kitty. Come in. Oh yeah, you can see we're adding some shadows. Sorry about that. Life goes on. It's not like I have a voiceover recording studio. I'm just doing this in my office, and regular life has to carry on around me, so bear with me. Thanks again for being here, though. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch and learn as we go here. Here we're just using the Nuln oil again on the underside of the shell to add some shadow and depth to that. I'm not going to really see it later anyways because it's on the underside. We're going to be looking at the fairy in the back of the turtle. But, you know, details matter. I'm kind of a detail junkie, so that's what we're doing here. Some Nuln oil into the folds of his neck. It's transparent, so you can still see the green underneath, but it shades that green a little deeper. You can really see that here on top of his head. It's bringing those scales out, really making it pop. And later we're going to dry brush a highlight layer over that to bring out some extra volume on the scales and the skin. Here I'm painting his nails. That's Wraith Bone, I think, or something like that from Citadel. And there's that dry brushing I told you with that real bright green. Still can't remember the name of that stuff. I should have had that in my notes. What? And now we're adding some shadows to the flowers and foliage on his head. Already did his beard off camera. Or actually it was on camera. I think I just edited it out. But yeah, painted his beard. That's a Seraphim sepia that we're adding as a contrast paint to his nails. Give those some character. Moving on, I'm painting the sclera of his eyes with deck tan. Following that up with adding the little dots for the pupils. So I know where his eyes want to be. That way he's not cross-eyed. I'm gonna start painting in the irises with a dark gray first. And follow that up with... his eyes were just big enough to where I could use a Q-tip as a stamp. And I'm just going to dip that into this sky blue and pop. Perfect little iris circle. Leaves a nice little gray circle around the iris there. I'll be doing the same thing with the other eye. Once that's done, go ahead and add some little glare spots. I'm just using deck tan here to put the striations in the irises here. And I'm going to use a Q-tip again, like a stamp, to dip it into some black paint. I used Abaddon Black by Citadel to do the pupils. It's kind of an off black, like a really, really dark gray. I like it. And here's that deck tan for the little glary spots on the eyes. I thought about doing his eyes kind of reptilian, but I don't know, I wanted to make him almost human-like. I felt like there might be a story there, like he used to be human, and the wicked witch turned him into a turtle and doomed him to have this fairy cruising around with him for the rest of his life, or until somehow she was able to break the spell. The only thing human left out of him was his eyes. So, I don't know. Deal with it. Now for the gloss. This Ard coat by Citadel. I like to be pretty liberal with it. Adds a lot of depth. Kind of turns the eyes into a big glass ball. Goes on kind of cloudy, but it dries crystal clear. Looks absolutely beautiful when it's done. I see a lot of other gloss coats out there that people use, and hey, whatever works for you. That one's just my favorite. Moving along, just gluing this vine coming out of his ear, whatever. And with that, I'm about to call him good. I'm gonna glue on his shell here. Thick Viscosity by Glue Masters, and pop. He is looking handsome, if I do say so myself. Turtle is done. Now, if you know me, you know I hate sanding and prepping models. The Fairy took about 3.5, 4.5 hours, I forget. It was long, but thank goodness for ludicrous speed. I can jack the speed up here and spare you the torture of having to go through what I had to go through to get her prepped and ready for paint. So I'm just kind of playing around with her, make sure everything fits right, kind of plotting out how I'm going to paint her at the same time, how her hair goes together. Sometimes you have to do that. Off camera, I did a primer coat with just cheap Krylon matte black, and we're going to do our zenithal highlight now. I'm just using the cheap white airbrush paint straight out of the bottle, nothing fancy, nothing special. I'm just doing the zenithal highlight. Now this one, the purplish pink color, I owe that to Sargent Digital Designs. I'd never used that before or thought to use it. And watching his channel, I saw him using this as a base tone for his flesh after he does his zenithal, and thought I'd try it out, and it works like gold. It's amazing. So give it a try, and check his channel out too, Sargent Digital Designs. The guy is awesome. He turns out some cool content. He's a very prolific poster as well. He's got some great videos out there. Anyhow, moving on, we're doing our base coat, base flesh using the Fairy Flesh set. And this is our Carne Media, or medium flesh tone. That's our fourth layer. And I'm just concentrating on the high points, getting those highlights in. And onto this layer. Read it, forget what it was called. Help me out there. Another highlight, skin tone. And I'm gonna follow this up with some clear coat, just a cheap matte coat by Krylon, clear coat. Dry her off and apply that Now, flat clear, that's what it is. So freckling, turn your airbrush pressure way, way down until it just barely spits out little drops of paint like you see here. And yeah, it's freckling. And then you can do that to your model. Add a couple little spots here and there. Onto our washes, yellow, red, and blue. Some people call it the sideshow method. I think this method's been around longer than they have, but yeah, I'm using it here. This just helps kind of create all the little blemishes and capillaries and veins and blood vessels we all have in our skin. After you do the blue, you spritz it with some alcohol and it'll split the paint up and make those veins pop and look real. Kind of hard to see here because her head's so small. I'm following this up with the final layer of fairy flesh. It's like 75% water and 25 distilled water, by the way, and then 25% paint. So it's very thin, almost transparent. And moving on, I airbrushed her dress and stuff off camera, and here I'm just doing the dry brushing on the highlights with a really light baby blue that I mixed up. Catching all those high points. Yep, that's cohesive. It works together. Moving on. Raglan Flesh Shade. This is going to give us our shadow and depth, and adds a little bit of color to the skin. You can see that there. Her toes I'm doing. Kind of work around her body and apply that where it's needed, where I see it's going. Earlier you saw me putting her on the back of the turtle there to figure out where I want the shadows to fall, and that's what I'm doing now. Kind of just eyeballed it there. Same with her ears. Give a little depth to those guys. Under her chin and her neck. You can see I did her eyebrows and everything too. Wasn't too worried about trying to paint in her eyebrows just because her hair is covering them up for the most part. I think she looked fine without them. Otherwise I felt like it would have been overdone. I did do her eyelashes though, as you see here, using a #1 brush, very thin paint. I had to do it in a couple layers, but eventually those eyelashes turned out nice. They match her hair. And onto the lips. This Doomfire Magenta is it's kind of matte. It's not glossy, it's not flat, but it's right in between, which is what you call matte. And I didn't want to gloss her lips and make them look wet. She's got some class. She's got lipstick on, but it's not overdone. Yeah, looks good. I like it. Cool. Color portrait just about done there. And oh yeah, we're gonna paint in the rope on her. I guess it's the waist tie for her dress, the cinch. I don't know what you'd call that. I don't know what the ladies call that, but I liked the gold. I think it worked out well. That being said, go ahead and glue her together. Put that torso on. I'm starting to work my way up. Yeah, she's getting there. Now the hair, I've seen a lot of people do this model. She was blonde, and yeah, I wanted a dark-haired fairy. And I wanted her to look young, but also wise. So I decided to do her hair in black. You can see I'm putting it together here now. There's a pretty good-sized gap. I filled that gap in with resin, one layer at a time, until it matched the height of her hair. You can see that there. And, now I'm just going over her hair with some black, and we're going to follow that up by dry brushing some really dark gray on there. You see that here. And here's where that wisdom comes in. A little really light gray. Her face is young, but her hair's seen some stuff. She's been around for a long time. Off camera, I did her little headdress there, and we're gluing that on. Added some really nice contrast to the black hair. Much better than I thought it looked blonde. Just my personal preference. The wings. Starting off with Pearl, White Pearl by Art Me. And we're going to follow that up with Metallic Blue, also by Art Me. And I thought this blue was a little too light. You can see that here. It's not really coming out very strong. I wanted the wings to stay transparent so light could shine through them, but it just wasn't popping right. So I went ahead and mixed it with some Calf Blue, which is a really dark, clear blue by Citadel. That's that right there. Mixed that up with a few drops of the metallic and got the blue I was looking for, which is kind of like a glacial blue, like that really deep blue ice you see underneath glaciers. It's centuries old. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it worked out. You can see that here. And we're going to follow that up. Kind of the same discovery. The metallic red by itself was just way too pink. So I added some Doomfire magenta to it. That's that. And kind of outlined her wings with that. Mixed with the purple, or mixed with the blue underneath, it came out kind of purplish looking. And I really liked the way it looked. I decided to go ahead and finish them off with that. This is the first wing. You can see it's really starting to make that wing pop. It's got nice iridescence to it. It looks beautiful in natural sunlight. Wish you guys could see that. Maybe somebody would like this model. I don't know. Reach out to me if you want it. We can discuss pricing. She is not sold yet. And yeah, off camera I'm going to do the other wing, and we'll put those together and see how they look. Boom! Beautiful. Really, really happy with how those turned out. Let's go get her. Let's give you some wings, girl. Come on back. Well, that's a compromising position, but hey, we got to get your wings on. Here you go. Those were a pain to put on, so did the rest of it off camera, and she's ready to join her friend Yertle. Yeah. Boom. Please like and subscribe. Really appreciate you guys being here. If you made it this far, I appreciate you guys anyways. Love you all. Happy painting. Hit that like and subscribe button, bell notifications, all that fun stuff, and tell your friends. And here's some glamour shots. Y'all have a good night. Much love. Happy printing and happy painting. Cheers.